And welcome back to the Splitting Hares podcast presented by Jackrabbit Illustrated and our premier sponsor, Drake's Place of Bowdle, South Dakota. Drake's is, offering some new menu items this season that they're excited to launch. Some pretty good creativity that they shared with us, but we're going to wait for them to drop that.
Is there anything Bowdle, pumpkin spice?
Not that I saw. I don't know if they're a pumpkin spice type of place there, Dallas. So if you find yourself out by Bowdle, drop into Drake's Place, get some gas, get some food, get some beer, and we just appreciate them being our premier sponsor. Dallas and Kyle, how's it going?
It's going good, man. We're week. What are we? 1 week, 6 days out. So couldn't be happier about that. I'm gearing up, packing up, getting ready to hit the road and make it all the way up to FOCO. How about you, Dallas?
Well, I wish I was in Bowdle because I'm hangry right now. I'm sitting here chowing down some leftover pizza because my DoorDash order got canceled when I didn't cancel it. So anyway, otherwise I'm good. Same, starting to make the last minute plans, getting ready to head to FOCO. Pretty pumped, ready for the season.
And I am not going to FOCO anymore. So Kyle gave me COVID last week over the podcast.
Through the waves. So
if you're watching this, put on a mask just in case, because we don't know how this works. So
it's science.
We were just talking about science before this. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so I got COVID, had to cancel all my stuff, was able to get most of my money back, except the Airbnb. You know, that expensive Airbnb. Speaking of cancelizations, the one that I got, never mind.
You got a deal, right? Come on, tell the people. They want to know.
I had a deal, and then that deal canceled, so I had to find a more expensive place to stay in Old Town, right? So,
yep.
Anyways, everyone go have fun. I am disappointed that I can't be there because this is something that's been on my calendar since it came out. Technically, by the quarantine days, I probably could go on Friday. But just with the 14-day period and my kiddos and stuff and school starting, so they're going to have to miss a few days of school, I think. So anyways, it just complicated situation. So I won't be there. I'm going to be watching on TV.
And on that note, that's a good place to probably share with everyone, just as a reminder. Nobody likes the guy who reminds everyone of the rules, but do your best to try to, socially distance or physical distance and all that stuff, just because we want the guys to be able to finish out the season, what's on the slate to get to Frisco, man. So nobody wants to be the guy or the fly in the cereal, right, who ruins it for everybody. So just do your part. I know it's a pain. You've probably heard this mouth to death over the past 18 months, but do what you can so we can see ball. That's what it's about.
Yep. One thing that I have learned since the last podcast is that the total number of our players who are vaccinated is getting close to 100 now.
Nice.
Oh, good. Nice.
So 100% or 100 people?
100 out of the 110 or 120 that's on the roster. So
nice.
Good job, we're getting there. And I guess part of that is that the only time that was available for the 3-day-a-week testing was at 5:30 a.m. And so that, carrot or the stick, right?
That's a little incentive, right?
Yeah. So we're, I think when Sam Herder put out those numbers or a quote from Stig that we weren't really close to the 80% before camp started, everyone was a little bit concerned because it's going to be forfeits this year if you have to cancel a game because of COVID. So, glad to see that turned around, I guess, because a forfeit to a lower tier team would just be a killer. So
indeed.
Yeah. All right. So tonight we are diving into the defense, and then at the end, defense and special teams, I guess. And then at the end, going to talk about Colorado State for a little bit and just hear some plans. So, all right, let's dive right in. Defensive tackles here. And this is like the most unsexy group to start with, but
they would beg to differ, I think.
I know. Stacker and Croc, you got some personalities there. So, all right. So let's start off with Xavier, right?
Yep.
Xavier's been starting now for 5 years, roughly.
Captain.
Yeah, he's a captain. He was
South Dakota kid.
South Dakota kid. He played at Canastota, the powerhouse. Xavier, for 3 years now, Coach Smith has been telling me that Xavier is like the most underrated player in the conference. You look at Xavier's stat line, and I think he had like 10 tackles last year. He was hurt at the start of the year. He had 10 tackles. But he just frees up those linebackers to flow. I mean, I think Xavier's a really, really stout player. He doesn't get blown off the line ever. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's a stalwart in the middle, right? Like between him and Caleb Sanders, like they're going to just be the Colonel, I should say, the X-Man and then the Colonel. I'm sure Xavier's got a better nickname than that. That's all I could come up with on the fly. But
that's what they call him, X.
They call him X. I like it. Oh, X gonna give it to you like Exhibit. But no,
that was DMX, bud.
Oh, was it? Oh man. Wow.
It's okay. Older folks like me, I've got your back.
Yeah, if anybody didn't know, Dallas loves gangster rap, so that's his genre. So I need to defer to him. I messed that up. I'm not gonna be able to go back to Atlanta. They're gonna revoke my my membership card if I ever had one. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, X and Caleb there are stalwarts, just wrecking plays. I mean, now that he's had, some considerable time to heal in the spring, and then also got some reps under his belt to kind of just, get the tempo down and feel the flow. And then all the football he's played prior to that. I mean, that's a really, really key contributor to have, and really a playmaker and game changer as we've seen. So I'm excited to see what he does this year, because final ride, let's see what you got. Empty the tank.
Mm-hmm. And you've mentioned him a couple times, the Colonel.
Yeah.
He's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he is.
Interior offensive lineman. Like, former wrestler. Coach Smith always talks about that he's a former wrestler, so that's where he gets his leverage from. But man, just a pest.
He's good with his hands, great hand fighter. And then his ability, like you said, to get leverage on guys, whether he's rushing half a man or, hipping in and taking on those double teams and just fighting through it. He's the most consistent, I would say, out of our interior defensive linemen. Not to take anything away from Xavier, right? Like Caleb just showed up time and time again in the spring.
Mm-hmm. So his stat line from the spring, which I believe he ended up second team All-American, third team. He made some All-American lists. 26 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks. And one thing I noted too from his tape is there were so many times he was pushing back the guard or center into the backfield, forcing the running back to bounce from their intended hole. I mean, that's huge. That doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it should, because it just totally disrupts the timing of the play.
Love that you use that word. If I had one word to describe Caleb Sanders, it would be disruptor. And that's huge for D linemen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So then the depth there, we have Crockett Krolikowski, Thomas Stacker, Jared DePriest, Brandon Lane's the big one that everyone's kind of excited for. And then Ryan Van Marl also. Ryan Van Marl and Jared DePriest are going to be a nice kind of deeper in the rotation, but really nice pieces there. Anything from any of those guys?
Yeah, I'd love to highlight this, Dallas, and I kind of want to get your take too. Thomas Stacker came on like a beast towards the end of the year last year, and really made his presence felt. I mean, specifically in the national title game, because it's the most fresh on all our minds. But he was a stalwart in there, and he's a big boy. So him, maybe Brandon Lane spelling him a little bit here and there. Van Marl coming in to get good reps, good quality reps, and making the most out of them. I think this has probably been the deepest and the strongest defensive line interiorly, and then obviously we'll get to the edge guys, but interiorly that we've ever had.
Yes,
and that's saying a lot, but I believe it.
Yeah, we've had some good D lines. I don't know that we've been this good, all the way back. I mean, there's not a lot of drop off one to the next.
Right.
So that's and again, I think everybody knows this, but defensive line is one of those positions where in the end you may not see the benefits of having depth early in the game, but you just keep cycling guys through and cycling them through because I don't want to get into physiology or whatever, but just the wear down that you get in the interior of the line throughout the game. It's different. Not to say that being a cornerback and running 10 miles a game isn't hard, but it's different when you're basically bench pressing a truck over and over and over and then doing a wind sprint for a game. So I think that's where that pays off, and we're going to see some guys getting home, getting in the backfield late in games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one player I'm really excited about is Jared DePriest. He was our top-rated recruit 2 years ago now, 3 years ago. Senior year of basketball, though, blew out his knee towards the beginning of the season, spent his whole freshman year rehabbing. Last year, with the disruption with COVID and stuff, really, again, towards the end of the year, the playoffs, he's the one that pulled that spin move against Delaware and just planted the quarterback. That was just a showcase of what he kind of showed, or just encapsulation in one play of what he showed on his tape in high school. Just a big, strong dude that's super quick. So we'll see. We'll see what he does this year. I'm excited for his potential. All right. So we talked about this just a little bit, the ends. I'll let you guys kick this off. You're the defensive ends of the group here. So
I'll kick it off with my favorite guy to kind of watch. I mean, there's a lot of them, but my favorite guy who's also an upperclassman, I'll put it that way, Tolu. Obviously, it's been said, converted running back. So he's going to have the movement quality to be able to bend and get after the passer as he's added weight. He really looks to work on his craft and really appreciate it. I follow him on social media and see him getting in extra work even in the summer when he didn't have to, when he could have been, resting up post spring season. But I'm excited to see what he can do, see if he can take those numbers to another level to help the team. I think he had some pivotal sacks in key situations. Hopefully he's fresh and he can give us that burst off the edge and really stress offensive linemen getting off their landmarks. And then I would love to see, he was, Chad, exactly. He was beast in the natty. And then I would love to see them have to, bring help, right? Chip with a running back and do things like that are going to open up things for our interior. And then also the other guy on the edge. Dallas, you want to tackle the other guy?
Well, hold on. My first question. Do you think Tolu is really 265 right now?
I do.
That's like three technique. 6'1", 265. Like that's been three technique for us for a long time. So to have that on the outside is crazy.
Yeah, those days are gone, man. Just even seeing it in person in Frisco, you were there. It's just it's a different world, They've got that burst and then they look like a three tech. You're like, okay, well, why not stress a tackle with a bigger body? Like we said, he played running back, so he still got that instinct in him. Yeah,
and he's actually down 5 pounds, Dallas, from the spring season. That was something I noted on the roster updates and stuff. The very first post
did I not get the memo? Sorry.
Yeah, you must not have read that one. But across the board, our defensive line is down about each person down 5 to 10 pounds across the board from the spring roster. So I'm not sure if that was intentional. It has to be.
Coach Mo historically, he's run us a good bit in the summer. I don't know if he did because the spring season was abbreviated, but I always found it really hard to maintain weight, whatever that weight was, because we did run a lot and you got to, and Brookings is sneaky humid in the summer too. So,
I thought Mo shared something not that long ago on Twitter talking about needing to come into fall camp like 10 pounds over where you're going to play anyway.
Yeah, you do. No, that's exactly right. And I tried to, but it's always a battle for defensive linemen, really is, to try to hit the weight goal that they have set for you and then try to maintain it through camp. So those are just kind of markers. And I even say, like, if Tolu can carry it and he feels good, do it. But if he wanted to get down to 250 and just maintain even more of a burst, why not do that also? But maybe he's got his sights on other things in the future.
And we'll see if they, shift him down onto tackle. Or inside on guard. For that
what was that package called?
NASCAR.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was beautiful too. And see that maybe that's why he was retaining weight. There's so many factors that could go into it.
Mm-hmm. There is. And we got Reese on the outside. Who else did they slide out when we did that?
Quentin, man. That's who I was thinking. That burst, man. He came on late too. Reese, I think Reese probably has it locked down, right?
Oh yeah.
He played so darn well, man. What did he have? Like, he took over in the Delaware game.
Reese started slow last year, I think. But as the season went along, he picked up. And again, you're right, Kyle, that Delaware game, he dominated that tackle.
I've never seen a more dominant defensive lineman performance. I think Even what did they give him, a effort game ball? I don't even know that he got a game ball, but it was kind of a running joke because anybody who watched the game knew who took that one over. But
yeah, that poor tackle, man.
Yeah, I bet he still wakes up in a cold sweat. That was a bad game for that kid, man.
Yeah.
And is Reese? What is Reese, like a 14th year senior? Feels like he's got to be like my age or maybe Kyle's age.
He is just a junior. So
he would. Is he still? Would have been. Yeah,
would have been a senior, I guess. But
I mean, everybody seems like they're pushing 30 these days with the whole last free year and all that.
And that just shows, though, guys, like this team, these guys have played a long time. This team was young, and this was a talented recruiting class for these few years. They were lapping the guys that were ahead of them. So they just saw the field so much earlier. So, geez, like even Quentin, he's a sophomore, but it's his third year playing. So,
Quentin feels like he should be a senior too, just as much as we've talked about him and as many plays as he's made.
Yeah. So then the other depth pieces here, guys that I really like, Cade Tervier, and then your guy,
Caden Johnson.
Talk about these two. What do you guys like about them?
I'll take Caden. I mean, not only does he seem pretty technically like he's coming along as far as, transition pass rush moves, but my favorite thing to watch guys, especially young guys, is their motor, because just not quitting. In sacks, Dallas will tell you this as being a D lineman, most of your sacks come from just not giving up, because maybe a quarterback gets flushed and you had kind of a very average initial pass rush move. Well, he can get flushed right into your lap. And, your stats can just get padded that way. But it still shows up the same in the stat sheet, It
is. So and those are the ones that look, they look amazing when it happens, because you can go back and watch the tape and go, man, he never gave up. He kept going. Well, what you don't notice is the 15, 30 other times, whatever it is, that you did that and didn't get anywhere, right?
Right.
So, it's straight up motor. Keep going. You don't know what that quarterback's going to do. You hit the nail on the head there. Yeah,
and Caden is a guy, to me, at least in all the action that he's gotten, looks like a guy who just has desire. His desire is going to be better than the guy across from him, and you can't teach that. Like, you just want to do it or you don't. And to me, we talked about it in last week's pod about the question we had about, all right, what is the most important skill for a wide receiver? Well, be a football player first. That's always, in my opinion, the best thing to be. And Caden has that, I think.
Mm-hmm. The last end to talk about that did start to play more as the season went along is Randy K, Special K.
He
was the one that was actually coming in, I think, for Reese on some of those obvious passing downs. And he is quick, he is fast, he is raw. So I'm excited to see what he learned in the offseason, actually being able to be around, and get some coaching from the older guys, the captain's practices and stuff that maybe COVID hurt last year. And so I just think once he puts it all together, I mean, there's no one like him physically in that room between size and athleticism. So,
yeah, I remember hearing the coaches talk about him just being all about being raw potential when they brought him in.
Yeah.
And then you get somebody, he starts out his career, his first ever tackle is a sack to close out the game against NDSU.
Yeah.
Like that's a heck of a way to start.
Love it. Yeah, and his limited action, he really made his presence felt. I mean, obviously, physically, he's pretty big specimen. And then, in the stat sheet showing up with limited action is great too. So,
yeah, I don't know. Like, his story is so crazy. He I forget which country in Africa. I apologize for that. But he lived in the cities basically by himself, got himself up to school, played football just for 2 years. So, just a ball of clay still. So
yeah, I was actually trying to look that up where he was from, because I felt bad I didn't remember too. So
in Dallas, I don't know if you had any crossover with Ray Day in your time. I don't know if Ray Day, but reminds me a lot of Ray Day's story. From the Omaha area, an immigrant here. I would mess it up too if I maybe Guinea, West, like one of those areas in the West African coast. But just made a real impact physically when he walked on campus. Really quiet, soft-spoken, but man, could just move like a gazelle on the field. And a lot of times you just find a place for a guy like that. then let them work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to linebackers then. Obviously, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit here. Right?
Do we have any good linebackers? I don't.
Yeah. Right? I'm going to start with Logan Backus. You have to. I mean, he just. What else do you want out of a guy? Honestly, he's started now for 4-ish years, maybe 5. I'm not even sure. He made every decent All-American team last year. And he just is so darn smart. He puts himself in the position to make plays. And last year, it really kind of seemed like he became a leader of the group, with Rosemoon moving on and Seven leaving and a couple other departures. He just had to. So I'm looking for him to have a huge senior year. He's not getting any like draft buzz or anything like that right now. Even like he's not showing up on priority free agent lists or anything like that. And I think that has to be a little bit motivating. One of these hybrid linebackers right now that are running around all over the NFL. Like I could see Logan definitely fitting that mold because it sure sounds like he wants to go on. He just needs the opportunity. So I'm looking for him to have a big year.
Certainly. If you have the itch, scratch it. I mean, you only get one crack at it, so you might as well pursue it with everything you got. But it sounds like whatever happens for Logan, he's got a pretty bright future. I mean, he seems pretty intelligent. I can't remember what he's studying in the bio world, but it sounds like he might want to become a doctor. And we had another doctor who had dude who had aspirations to be a doctor who had a nice little run. So hopefully he can kind of follow in that track. But as far as some of the other linebackers, I'm looking to see some things from. Actually, I want to get an update on one first. Savion, is he done for the?
I think he's not playing this year. Yeah.
Yeah. He got
hurt in the Natty as well.
Right. So that's kind of a bummer. So we'll have to find kind of someone to step into those shoes. I think we have young talent who did a lot on the scout side of things last year. The twins. Is it Kusler? Did I pronounce that right? Yep. So the Kusler twins, maybe they'll make an impact. Yeah. I'm losing my train of thought on who else was in the mix there.
We got Bach and
the All-American. Bach was such a treat to watch too. Like another guy cut from the vein of, the Caden Johnson type way he plays, like just passionate and relentless at the point of attack, and really a heady player who he can run like a gazelle. Obviously Graham Spaulding too. Shoot, we have a bevy of backers there who really made their impact known as young kids. Bach was an All-American, of course, looks really good. With one day for state coming up, him and Tucker did a little promo for that for the strength department, and just his neck is just like both of those kids, man. Something changed. Something new is in the water in South Dakota and Minnesota. What's going on, Dallas? You guys putting in there?
It's a secret. I can't tell you.
Is it the Culligan man?
It is. It's funny. Yeah. I got like 6 giant jugs of Culligan.
I know, that's why I'm
right now in the garage.
That's a Southern Minnesota treat right there, the Culligan man.
Well, and the one player that we didn't mention there, Isaiah Stallbird is making the shift from safety to backer. So with his speed, I'm really looking forward to that. He was around the yeah. Go ahead, Dallas.
No, I'll say I'm such a fan of moving strong safeties up. It's going back to my roommate Rodney Francois, who had his giant picture up on the side of Coughlin alumni for a decade or more. Same thing, came in as a running back and then instantly was moved to defensive back, and then came up and finished out his career, playing up at the linebacker position, and it went really well. So a lot of flexibility, getting that speed out there. You can do a lot of things with those guys.
Yeah, he was around the ball so much last year. There were a few times, and maybe this is just me remembering the bad stuff. Missed tackles maybe were an issue last year with him, but that might just be a blip in my memory. So a couple of games that just stand out, but I'm looking forward to that. If you go with a linebacker crew of Bach, Backus, and Stallbird, that's a lot of speed between the three of them on the field.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, how lucky have we been on running or on linebackers here? lately. I mean, the last decade, I feel bad. I'm drawing a blank. Who was our stud right before
Lally.
Christian? Lally.
Yep.
And I remember Lally coming as a freshman and thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is the best linebacker we're ever going to have.
And right before him was Chris Johnson, you know, while Johnson and Shaffer. I mean, we've had a lot of really stout linebacker play. You know, guys who come in a little bit undersized, you know, hit the weight room, grow into their frames, and then just physical specimens out there on the field, at least for this classification. And one of the things I really love about Stallbird coming down, you know, his coach did the same thing. Coach Rogers started out. In fact, I think he won like player of the game accolades at safety, comes down, plays linebacker, and is all world, all everything. Top 150 players ever to play at Coughlin, you know? So that's pretty cool. Maybe he sees something in him that kind of is from the similar cloth. So that'll be interesting.
Speaking of Coach Rogers, and you know, him just being a psycho on the field, do you think we could ever get him to bring back the flow? Like, that was sweet. Like that. A couple players that I want to talk about before we move on. Graham Spaulding and Peyton Shaffer. And those two play vastly different styles. Graham Spaulding wants to stick you in the ground, where Peyton seems to be really, really, really cerebral. Plays a little bit, you know, relies on his speed a little more. Peyton Shaffer, number 30, became one of my favorite special teams players last year. On kick coverage, he was one of the first guys at the ball every time. And there's just something about pinning your opponent now inside the 20 that just fires up the defense. It fires up the crowd. Peyton was great at it.
I am so glad that you brought up special teams play, because I was going to mention that earlier, that you get depth at linebacker. That's where it shows through. Amazing special team play, because those are generally the bodies that you want out there running on the field.
1,000,000%, Dallas. And actually, talking to Glenn Fox, just inquiring about certain players throughout the year, you know, this former Jackrabbit scout for the Cardinals now, for those who don't know, I constantly am just kind of picking his brain. And he's like, yeah, man, in the NFL, if you're going to make a 53-man, you want those DB linebacker type bodies, because when you're roster building, special teams is a huge facet of play. And your big money guys, they're going to be the starters who are probably not going to see that. And if they do, they're more like tight end bodies on punt coverage, like Goddard and things like that, which you don't see him on that anymore because he's a big money guy. So looking at roster building and things like that, I think all our recruiting efforts have really paid dividends in getting high quality linebacker play, in assembling this roster, understanding there's three phases of the game. And then it's shown, like Peyton, what was it, the Youngstown or the Western Illinois game? I feel like he made every single play on kickoff. And it was astounding because he was making it, you know, at the 20 or less. And then against Southern Illinois, when we were at their place, you know, Graham Spaulding and Stallbird, they that's a huge game-changing play to strip that ball carrier. So, I mean, got to show up and play all three phases.
Yep. You know, you mentioned the Kusler twin earlier. Adam, it sounds like, is the one that's going to be pushing to play this year. Caleb Frankel is another second-year player that's going to be pushing. And then, you know, I look at guys like Matt Jeepers, why do I always butcher his name?
Durant?
Yeah, no, Matt Barnett. Durant is that freshman safety. But
Matt played last year too a little bit, so he probably see the field.
Yep. Him, Barnett, Motzko, and Kinzer Madison will be kind of your special teams. You know, I think they'll be on special teams core, those three. So, yeah.
Good stuff.
Any other thoughts on the backers, guys?
Probably my favorite top to bottom position group, just to see them play.
Oh, sure.
If not the chain gang, you know, I always got tight ends and chain gang. That's where my heart's at. But
we don't have favorites though.
No.
All right. Let's go with our corners here. Kyle, I'm going to let you kick off corners.
This is the most intriguing position group, I would say, for the Jacks this year, outside of quarterback play. But when is that not always intriguing, right? So Don Gardner, All-American. He's really worked himself into a great player. Guys, go check out the Go Jacks Instagram and social media handles, because I believe Don was donning the new rabbit helmets mixed reviews. I think they look clean and sharp regardless.
I was going to bring that up at the start. My missing Indian food threw me off here. I was going to bring that up that we've got a little bit of controversy on the pod here. We've got some disagreement.
I mean, I was hoping. I told you guys on the text thread, I was more like a kid who had his expectations of something and then didn't get the toy he wanted in the store, so he pitched a fit. But I've since been put in timeout, and now I'm good. No, I like the profile rabbit head. I mean, I got it tatted on my body. I don't know what that says about me, but no, I find it to be a little bit more intimidating. And let's face it, we're the Jackrabbits. It's hard to kind of dress it up and make it an intimidating animal. So seeing the running one on the helmet, I don't know. I was kind of just like, but anyways, it grew on me. I love the last play that really pops on the back of the helmets. It's sharp. And regardless of my opinion, I think it looks clean, and the whole equipment staff and marketing and AD and whoever put that together, I think they did a great job. Because these helmets, talking to Kurt Lickus as well, he was saying how the new design of helmets, they have so many rivets and grooves that it's tough. It would have been tough to get the profile logo on there with the ears. So I like it. Looks good. New team, new look.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah. So Don, to get back on track, Don. No, it's a good question, Dallas. Good stuff. Don was the one representing the new look, and he's going to be the one representing that whole unit, I think, and trying to really up the ante from last year, because a lot of people threw him under the bus, even publicly. Some beat writers, some folks like that, and I think it's great to have a chip on your shoulder, but it's great to have the experience and talent to go along with that chip on your shoulder. So him, Malik Lofton, Dyshawn Gales had significant playing time last year, and made big impacts in their own right. Don Gardner is really good at coming up and playing the run. He's also really good at staying with the other team's number one receivers. And we saw some beasts last year, especially later on in the year. And then I would like to see, I believe it's Dotterman. Is it Dotterman? And
so he's a true freshman.
Yeah, I know, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, they're the trues. Yep,
they're trues. I mean, we have experience, so maybe seeing starting time is not going to be there, but definitely you never know with special teams.
There's going to be some young guys on the field.
There will be, and I believe it's Chris Rhodes. Yep. I saw him when I was there, specimen. So he's gonna make an impact. Don't know when he'll make an impact though, and he really wants it. I think he likes ball.
He's the guy that's 5'11" that has like a 6'6" wingspan or something ridiculous like that.
Uh-huh.
So.
I saw him running. I saw him running some sprints, and it just shows. I mean, the game has changed. The type of athlete we recruit has changed, and it's a testament to all the donorship and everything that's gone into it over the past decade and a half or so. But really, just seeing him run, you're like, man, what kind of is he? Is this a JUCO transfer? Is this so? Those guys being built and being ready to go physically is only going to help them see the field sooner. So that's encouraging. So a lot to be excited about to put a cap on the corner position.
Yeah, the two that I'm hearing about are second year players, Dallas Beanham, and then Stephen RL. Mm-hmm. So Stephen's a big corner. He's 6'2". He's all that.
Nice.
He was bouncing between safety and corner. They decided to move him to corner last year. But Dallas is just a really fluid athlete. He has experience guarding some of the top receivers in the country, because he lined up across from Xavier Betts and the other D1 recruit that was right in the Omaha area last year, wide receiver. One of them went to Notre Dame, I believe, and one of them went to Omaha or Nebraska. And so he lined up across from them, did a nice job. So it's going to be interesting to see. What we know is that there's no way our top three cornerbacks go throughout the season without getting hurt. So You're absolutely right. They are going to have to rely on some younger players, some youth, because there's just no way we make it through a season playing three cornerbacks essentially for the whole year.
And even if they don't get hurt, I mean, they're going to need to get spelled, because you can only carry a guy downfield so many times, especially Don being so good in man coverage.
Yeah. Well, they did last year though. That's the shocking part.
But it showed late, right? I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's probably true, Kyle. That's probably true. We've never talked about that.
No, and they're getting and one of the most remarkable stats came up actually in our coverage in our text thread too, because we didn't give up multiple receiving touchdowns till the national title game.
Really? Is that true?
It was written. It must be true.
Didn't Southern Illinois?
No, I refuse. Did they score two passing touchdowns on us? I don't know.
Man,
either way, they did an excellent job. If we're calling into question, they did an excellent job for being strapped as far as depth, and we knew that going in, we were going to be challenged, right? Because we had the exodus of Diamond, and we had
Andy and Marshawn,
and Marshawn, and it was tough, man. So kudos, obviously, to the DB's coach, to Coach Rogers, to Coach Berge, everybody just kind of doing what they had to do to put it together.
Man, I had never put that together, Kyle. Like I was just shocked they never got hurt.
Yeah.
But going through a whole season, just playing 3 cornerbacks essentially for the whole year, no wonder, like against Holy Cross, our guys were getting left in the dust.
Well, and remember, it was like, I can't remember. I think was it the Holy Cross? It might have been the Holy Cross game when, was it Daishan who he came out in a different number and we're like, man, who is number 5?
I think that was Southern. That was Southern.
Was it Southern? We're like, oh my God. We're like, we have a brand new corner out here. What are we doing? It's like, stuff happens, adapt and overcome. And this year, it's going to be great to have more depth. That's all we can say.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
That's a heck of a call. Ooh, ding. First, absolutely. I'm going to get a bell.
There we go. A ticker. We'll keep a ticker.
Hard-hitting question. Does Dallas Beanham get to join the Dallas Club? Because it's a very exclusive club. There's only been 3 of us. And he spells it different.
Who's the third? I know you and got it.
Brown.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Whoa. We're talking about upper echelon of talent.
I'm bringing that average down hard. But I had one of my biggest football regrets is after that UNI game when we won the conference down there. You get to go down in the field after the game, and both those guys were down there and they were close together. And Stig was too, and like, man, I want to get a picture.
Dallas picture.
I know I'm going to feel like a dork. I'm not going to do it. And then I chose not to, but I should have.
Well, let's say this. Give a little nod to the Rushmore State. So we got 3 heads on our Dallas Mount Rushmore State. Maybe Dallas Beanham could join that. That'd be nice. Take it.
Yep. All right. Welcome.
Yeah. All right. So we have to switch to safeties here. And hold on. And actually, before we go to safeties, we need to put a plug in for one of our sponsors here. Make sure if you're heading out to Fort Collins, and even if you're not making it to Fort Collins, get your order in with Jackrabbit Central. Get your new gear. Get stocked up for tailgating on September 11th. It's going to be like the fall games in Brookings are just beautiful. So if you need some new cups, a new cooler, they've had those they have yard games, tailgating games, barbecue set, all those things, plus your new gear. So pick that up at Jackrabbit Central, where they have just a tremendous selection for you to choose from.
Hats. I love hats. Dallas loves hats.
Yep.
I mean, great birthday gifts for the fam.
Good point.
Get your stuff. I gotta gear up at the start of the season here. I haven't bought anything since last spring.
I like their art too. I got some of their art. I don't know if you guys can see on the back wall. We got a little Weary Will and Dirty Lil in there.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
I see that now. That's cool. I like it.
It's a beautiful commission piece. Yeah.
I want that.
Cool.
It's nice.
I just got my gym set up. So next up's going to be like my office and man cave. So maybe
and then
eventually I'll get rid of the closet doors. Yeah. So
there you go.
All right. Let's talk about the safeties. This group I love. I love Coach Bergstrom. I think he's just a super, super high character individual that is just doing tremendous things for this position. I don't know if this has always been a strength for our team, to be honest, the safety position. But I think we have tremendous athletes there now. And you look at the roster and you look at the build. Coach Bergstrom knows what he's looking for in these guys. He at least has a blueprint of what he wants. So we'll start off with Griff. He was named to the Bruce Feldman Freaks list, which is pretty cool. That's, I mean, a lot of they talk about this list a lot, looking at Senior Bowl invites for guys they want to invite in or scout for draft. Just because Bruce Feldman's been able to dig through and just find these guys that have weird or off the chart measurables combined with some good play. So I'm excited for Griff. I think he's going to really go all out this year. And that's who I'm starting with. I just think he just ability to play close to the line of scrimmage, but also the ability to drop in coverage. Just a really nice player.
Yeah, and shout out to Tolu for lobbying to get him. Started his career out at what are they calling it now? SMSU.
Southwest
Minnesota State. Okay, yeah, all those letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G's. So it's I at least know that much of the alphabet. But it's cool to see Griff just kind of work himself into a top tier player in my opinion. All the little publications that come out, I think it was either FCS Prime or one of those accounts on the gram that left him off the top 10 safety list. And I just liked his attitude. I think one of his teammates maybe added him and was like, can you believe this? And, it is what it is. Your work on the field is what matters anyway. He's getting some notoriety, right? Some good pub from Bruce Feldman. And I think listening to him do interviews and stuff, he's well-spoken, seems to have a level head, good perspective. And the goal is the goal, right? So I'm excited to see him play. Switching gears to another guy who I really like watching and has an all-world name, Chase Norblade. Love watching Chase play. He's got a good motor. Want to see him stay in every game this year. Hopefully not get called into question if he's targeting or not. It's a whole another issue in and of itself. But yeah, love Chase Norblade. And then we got some other guys in the mix there. What do you think, Matt?
Well, we got to talk about the Barracuda.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he just has a nose for the ball. Led the team in interceptions last year with 4. A converted corner. He's one of our first players that played in like the blue-gray All-American Bowl, the Army Bowl, or whatever it is. One of those high school All-American Bowl games. A lot of excitement about him when he signed. Flipped from corner to safety after about a year and a half in the program. And what a tremendous move for him. I'll never forget that first year at safety, though. He was still playing like a corner and got trucked a few times trying to play the run. But man, what tremendous growth from him as not just a pass defender, but someone that can get up and be physical towards the line of scrimmage and make nice tackles on running backs and tight ends even. So I look for him to just continue where he was at last year, making plays on the ball. He's just so darn smart, and he's played. He's another one that feels like he's been in the program for 6-7 years.
So. Yeah, he really does.
He's really heady, right? He just seems to show up around the ball. And then when there's big plays being made, specifically last year through the air, he was all around it. I think he sealed the deal against Southern Illinois at home in the quarters with a pick, which was huge. And he came up big at really some pivotal moments earlier on in the regular season play in the spring. I like the chip that he plays on his shoulder, and I don't think he's going to fool you. He's not the Isaiah Stallbird type in terms of his style of play, but I think he makes an impact, and at the end of the day that number 3 is going to be around the ball.
Yeah, the other player we have to talk about quick is Cale Reeder. He's a second-year player out of Illinois. Played a lot last year, actually. And he's someone, even when they had 5 safeties, he was still sneaking on the field in some of those sub packages when they brought 3-4 safeties on the field. Cale was out there. And with Isaiah moving to linebacker now, I think that's going to just open up some more opportunities for him. Really a strong player, a former wrestler. So, he just, that's an interesting thing from a safety, I think. A wrestling background for him. And just someone that, talking to Coach Bergstrom, he's really excited about his potential and about his future. So, in the last safety in the group, kind of to round him out, that's going to have a shot this year, is Dayton Mcgoy out of Missouri. Dayton was on the special teams units last year. He wore number 15 last year, which was weird to see, kind of a thicker built 15 on the kick coverage units.
The best number you can wear for South Dakota State, by the way.
Yeah, you were 15 too.
Because of Tim Tebow, right? Is it Tebow?
No.
Unfortunately, Dayton's rocking 8 now. So so I won't get confused when I see 15 on kick coverage, like with a bigger build. So, and then, again, talking to Coach Bergstrom just a little bit, he is really high on this incoming or this first year group. Kobe Herter from Texas, Matt Durant from Florida, Jaden Crockett out of Arizona, Tucker Large from Sioux Falls Roosevelt, and Ryan Swoger from Arizona. That crew is loaded, stacked. Coach Bergstrom said they're pushing each other like crazy. They're more advanced in their understanding of what the safety position is and responsibilities, and they're communicating really well. So he just loves this group. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of sort themselves out over the next few years here. Lots of talent and lots of, different experience, I guess, there too. So
yeah, Katy, Texas out here in Houston is a power. So excited to see how Herter translates that prep competition to what he's able to do here. And then also just definitely want to touch on the Florida pipeline that seems like we're kind of laying down with Durant's, Spaulding, some other people we've had on the roster historically coming out of the state down there, the frying pan.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this leaves a little bit of time here to talk about special teams. And the big thing for me, right, is that Brady Sorensen is back. Our two-time All-American long snapper is back. There's just never been a problem with him snapping the ball. So that's going to be huge for field goals and extra points. Right? Yeah,
it was a real – I thought the guys did great filling in. And, I thought they did what you could probably expect. And then the conditions were miserable for the Natty. So it was like, I mean, what could you expect out of that? I mean, might as well just pick the ball up, turned around, and like just kind of, cornhole tossed it to him.
Grade school on it.
I mean, or like a powder puff snap where you just turn and snap it.
Hold on, take me back through. Did we wind up with a fourth string snapper? What happened in the spring? It was goofy, whatever it was.
So we had a true freshman, and I'm blanking on his name right now. No disrespect.
I thought, wasn't it Kinzer Madison who?
Nope. It was the true freshman, and he got his leg hurt against Youngstown.
Mueller.
Jaden Mueller. Thank you.
Mueller, yeah.
Yep. And so he got his leg hurt against Youngstown. So Thomas Motzko comes in, and he's playing.
That's when you had the beef. You were like, why is Motzko playing special teams when he's our snapper? I agree.
And then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And so he got hurt on I don't think it was even the punt. It was like he was still covering kicks.
Kick cover.
Something like that. Yeah. Oh,
I've never seen you that mad.
And then John Grutzmacher came in. So Grutz ended up handling field goals and extra points for the rest of the season. Motzko was out for a while, but then came back and handled punts. Yep, after that. So oofta.
Hey, if there's a silver lining, because you want to find one, we're gonna have plenty of snap depth. I mean, having guys had real time action. I mean, for real.
No, it's a good call.
That's good. That's true.
It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yes. So then Ben Dinkle. Everybody loves Dinkle.
Yes, I heart Dinkle.
I heart Dinkle.
So that's going to be good to have him back again this year. And then Cole Fromm with kickoffs and extra points and field goals. Hunter Dustman as well, the punter kicker. We'll see. I'm excited for that group. I think it's a pretty solid group all around, and I'm excited Brady's back because that's going to solidify a lot of things. So, all right, guys, we nailed that. 50 minutes for the preview. Let's talk about Colorado State.
Well, it was an interesting year for Colorado State. Adazio is coming in. For those of you who don't know his background, Adazio had a lot of success in Florida under Urban Meyer's tutelage, winning obviously a couple BCS titles there in his time. Offensive line coach, really, obviously you can expect potential, transfer into the trenches when we see Colorado State. And I think that his mentality is really hard nosed. I mean, he had a lot of, I guess you would say, all was not right in the state of Denmark when he was first on campus at Colorado State, there was some clash, I think, in terms of philosophy, and that's going to happen pretty much anywhere. But I mean, I think it clashed with who is there. What another thing you can expect, Mike Bobo used to be the head coach at Colorado State prior to Adazio. Bobo is a UGA alumnus and was a quarterback, and he is a good recruiter. So you're going to see talent on this roster. You're going to see a lot of talent from the South. So you can pretty much stereotypically equate that to some speed because there's the style of play in the South is speed. And you're going to see some length. So you're going to see probably coverage difficulties just in terms of matchup and sizes, I would just assume. Hopefully I'm wrong there. But also, I think, there's not a lot of film on what Adazio was trying to get done because they had such an abbreviated season. So I think like one of the things you're going to notice, we're going to do a very brief coverage of this opening game because a lot of the complexion of what a team's going to be really is unveiled game one, right? So we're going to do our best here. But any other thoughts, guys, on Colorado State?
You nailed most everything that I wanted to touch on there because you've got the new coach who very much preaches this hard-nosed mentality, right? Which was a departure, I think. My understanding is that's a departure from what was there before.
It was, and
everybody absolutely loves this guy, despite the 1-3 performance. Nobody's really paying any attention to that out there from last year. I believe in some of the pods I listened to that 100% of the players that could return did. Basically, their radio play-by-play guy said that verbatim. He said
after the initial departure of a lot of guys.
Yeah, after all the transfers.
Right.
I'm repeating what the voice of the Rams said. So I don't know exactly what he's qualifying that with, but he was happy with everybody that stuck around. And again, just they're happy with that hard-nosed mentality. They brought in. I don't know how you want to attack all this, Matt, but I think the player that they're most excited about is the running back they brought in from BC.
Yep, David Bailey. Yep.
Beast.
So David Bailey, just for some context here, he started in 28 games for Boston College, 332 carries for 1,600 yards and 16 TDs. So they've kind of a three-headed monster at running back. They had two good backs before this guy even came in. But just, again, this guy is 6 foot, 240.
Yeah. We need to bring our jock straps and be ready to play because, I mean, we see good news is, we tackled Hunter Lipke, but he's going to be a little bit better in terms of talent pool. Size-wise, you can't take anything away from him. He's a good player. But in terms of his ability out in space, this is just going to be a completely different world with Bailey. And I think that they're gonna try to establish the run, right? Everything is gonna be like a heavyweight boxing match where you're feeling them out with a jab. The game might be boring off the rip from their perspective, anyway, offensively. But one of the things I noticed in looking at their depth chart, I don't know that they fully know who's gonna man the ship, right? They got a lot of quarterback transfers from a bunch of different. Temple. They got guys on their roster from BC, all over the place, but Northeast predominantly. And the guys who did get reps had such limited reps, it seems like. So I don't know, Matt, what's your take?
Yeah, so the guy they brought in from BC, Matt Velez, he actually got hurt. And so the guy from Temple, Todd Centillo, is going to be their starter. He played a little bit last year, definitely more of a running quarterback than a passing quarterback. And then they finally named the backup this week. He's a true freshman, Evan Olace, 6 foot 200. So they're going to want to run the ball.
Especially with that quarterback getting the nod, because looking at his stats, it was more so like he had 80 rush yards or 100 rush yards, and I'm like, interesting.
Mm-hmm. He only started the one game, and then he dinged his hand because I think he had like 39% completion percentage or something in the one game that he had.
Paltry.
Yeah. Not much to it, but you nailed it that they're going to come out and just want to pound the ball because you cannot get their quarterback hurt. Their third string is a guy from Eastern Illinois that didn't get really any action there. And then they also, I don't think we mentioned, they got a brand new offensive coordinator who's out of Wisconsin. So to me, Wisconsin offense, you're going to run the ball.
Well, and if you watched any BC stuff with Dylan, who's now in the league. I mean, with Green Bay, your team, Matt. They established a run. That's what they do.
Yeah. And so Adazio's last year in 2019 with A.J. Dillon, they were 6th nationally in the country at 267.8 yards per game. And this Colorado State offensive line is old. They have 3 grad students, 2 redshirt seniors, and a redshirt junior are their top 6 that are going to get sorted out. So they're going to run the ball.
Yeah. You can't ignore the fact that, I mean, their offense was bad. I know it's 4 games. It's a brand new coach that had a weird season, but I mean, they were flat out bad. They were 100 so there's like 130 FBS schools. They were like 100 or less or below in every single stat that mattered. I mean, they were just not good.
Yeah, but Dallas, our DBs really just aren't that good.
So fellas, the one guy that if they are going to throw the ball, they're going to be looking to get it to their tight end, Trey McBride, 6'4", 260. He's on the Senior Bowl watch list. He's up for the Mackey Award. He's a finalist or a watch list for that. Last year he had a nice season, actually, just in 4 games, 22 receptions, 330 yards, and 4 TDs. They missed that last year. Their second tight end, Cameron Butler, missed the season. But in 2019, he had 49 receptions for 555 yards. So they have 2 good tight ends. So if they do attempt to throw the ball, I imagine it's going to be going their direction. So, yeah. Let's flip it. So defensively, though, their defensive line, again, experienced, led the country last year in tackles for loss with like 11.5 per game.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah, pretty nuts there. They work pretty hard at getting to the quarterback. Scott Patchen is a Miami transfer. And Toby McBride, we just mentioned his brother at tight end. This cat plays defensive end. And then they got 2 big boys in the middle, both 290. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think this is the pivotal matchup, the marquee matchup on for the game. It's going to be their pass rush against our offensive line, right? I think who wins this game is going to be the team who can establish the run and throw when they need to or take timely advantage of the passing game. And I think that it's going to be exciting because I've heard that they're going to stop our run game before it gets going. That was in multiple publications, College Football News being one of them. There's not any attention given to the fact that we have a lot of experience on our offensive line and how that is the staple for our team. So, I mean, it's a tale as old as time, to quote Disney, that who wins the trenches is going to win the war. So we'll see.
Disney,
you're right.
Listen,
you gotta sing it. You gotta sing.
I'm gearing up. You don't want to hear me sing it. But I'm gearing up for one day I'm going to be a parent, so you never know. You got to have it in your repertoire.
There we go.
They 100% believe that they are going to just eat our O-line for lunch.
Yeah.
they think that that D-line with 16 sacks over 4 games and all those TFLs, I mean, they think they are going to own the trenches, and there's no question about that.
I'm excited for this matchup. I mean, it's good on good. Yeah.
And I said this in the blog, but this is coming out tomorrow, the blog actually. So pick it up, read it. I'm excited because we've talked for years that we believe we are just as good as the G5 conferences, and we've never had a G5 game. This is our chance to prove it. So let's go out and prove it, and let's win this sucker. Yeah. Let's prove it that instead of just talking about it, let's prove it that we are just as good as these great 5 conference schools. So
yeah, it's time to put up or shut up, right?
Yeah. All right. So we're in the prediction segment here now, which I didn't even put a tab for. Sorry about that. Predictions is brought to you by Shenanigans down in Sioux Falls. Shenanigans is hosting a watch party on Friday with Southeast Staters. No registration needed to go. Just show up. There'll be a bunch of Jackrabbit alumni there watching the game and maybe get some information on joining Southeast Staters as well. Great organization to get involved and keep you attached to the school. Shout out, though, to Shenanigans as well for all their support for the Little League team from Sioux Falls. That was really cool to see that. But Shenanigans, again, just a great place. we're excited to get there and watch a game this fall for a watch party as well.
Whoever brought up their new location, I wasn't aware of that because I don't make it to Sioux Falls really ever anymore. Unfortunately, Ben did.
Yep.
And I got online and checked it out. Man, that place looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get there.
Yeah,
definitely. So, what do you got, Matt? What are you thinking?
All right. What did I write in the blog? Got to check this. Make sure that I'm consistent. At least. So, of course, I was winning, right? 27-21 is what I have for my prediction. Ooh.
Okay. I'm going to go 24-21 Jacks.
That's what I was going to go. So I can't do that. I actually considered I have half a mind to pick against South Dakota State. The reason being is that I realized I was overconfident personally about this from the time that I saw it on the schedule. I don't like that. But I still, even with that beast of a running back they got, I think that we can go toe to toe with them. I like our line. I hope they come in pissed off, but yeah, it's going to be a nail biter. Let's go. I'm going to go weird score. Let's go like 25-22 South Dakota State.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My kind of wild card in this is our passing attack, because their defense was not good against the pass in the last fall for them. And they're banged up. They have hardly any depth. They brought in that transfer corner from Temple that was supposed to solidify things a little bit. He got hurt last week. And so it's the same guys back that really, really, really struggled. But our unknown is our quarterback. We want to believe that he's really good. We'll see. So.
I got, sorry, can I take a backtrack? I stepped away for half a second. Did we touch on their special teams at all?
We didn't know.
It was a disaster. I think to quote them, it was a disaster last year. They gave up at one point 5 special teams touchdowns in 6 quarters or something like that. Like, it was bad. I mean, they had Boise State. I think they had 3 kicks blocked. They had 2. San Diego State. I think they gave up 2 returns. Like, it was a major question mark.
Well, and we saw what happens in the return game against SIU that just completely changes the complexion in the quarters. You know, excuse me, and in the Natty with Isaiah really popping off some big gains there, and then also. I'll think of his name real quick. Jordan Meacham. So it's going to be interesting. That's another good point. Who's going to fill that second returner spot for us will be kind of interesting to see on KOR.
Yeah. I'm just looking up something quick here from Kurt that Kurt had tweeted out yesterday about a meetup right before the game. So I don't even know where that's at now anymore.
I didn't catch it.
So our production meeting last week didn't get finalized.
Yeah, right. So JFPA and parents are hosting something at one of the bars before kickoff, starting at 3 p.m. I believe it was like Brothers or something like that. They'll also be tailgating outside the stadium as well. But check the Twitter. I'll retweet it so we can get it. We can find it. Any last thoughts, everyone?
Yeah, check the blog for Austin Sumner's attractions, because he's a Fort Collins resident. So he took some time and put some effort into sharing for all of us where we can go. I'm gonna look into it because I got a little lazy and didn't really look at a lot of attractions outside the Airbnb and just Old Town. So check that out. It's good.
We'll get there. Hold
Matt,
on.
Where do I go, Matt?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Too soon.
I know.
I'm going to bring Iowa City down next fall.
I'm going to bring you a souvenir. We'll bring you a souvenir.
Do it. Hey, hold on. I missed a couple of tweets here. I asked about stuff to touch on. We had somebody ask, first offensive play call of the year.
Play action, go deep. That's my take. I don't know.
Dang it. That was mine, Kyle. That's what I said when I saw that question. Or else it's going to be just a Pierre over the right side.
Flea flicker. I mean, the Wizard's going to have something dialed up. Maybe I shouldn't say Wizard. That's Winnike's nickname. But
yeah.
The
It
Mad
depends.
Hatter. Mad Hatter?
Mad
Nah,
Hatter.
not Les Miles.
Depends how much influence Stig has. If it's Stig, it's going to be dive right or dive left.
Hey, I'm good with that too. Run the ball, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mike Shaffer here. Thanks, Mike, for dropping the line here. Brothers Bar in Fort Collins is where there's going to be a little meetup before tailgating. Tailgating is going to be lot 425 starting at 3. Nobody likes a late attendee, so be punctual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated. Everyone that's going, have fun. Be good representatives of SDSU. I have no doubt about that. Have a beer for me. I am actually pretty sad that I'm not going. So have a great time. Let's get a W, boys. Go big. Go blue.
Go
Jacks.
Jacks.
Here we go.